And I apparently are going a different path than you do, Callie, because I tell the truth to boost the ratings on my show.
Oh,
and you are ambushing me with tough, hard-nosed questions that you don't think I want to answer. What I'm shocking you with is I am answering those questions. I'll take steers and queers down in Texas. I'll take that guy in Seattle. I'll take the guy in New York. I'll take that guy in New Mexico's question, taco eater down there, El Loco. Because you ain't going to ambush me, son. I can answer anything that you've got. Because you know what? I got the truth on my side. And you're not going to pin me in a bad way and try and make me look like a fool on worldwide radio. You look like the fool because you got to ask the question that you should know the answer to. Every one of you out there look like fools. And I noticed that Callie geographically picked a certain little corner of the United States. Have you got one from Miami? Have you got one from Louisiana? Have you got one from California? You got something from Nebraska? You probably do.
No.
But I bet you those were all positive, and you didn't want to read those.
No, I'm just reading the ones that came in first.
Yeah, selected readers. Every one of them were against me. You mean to tell me out of 66,000 listeners, a record-breaking segment on your show, that out of 66,000 listeners, not one of them had a positive word to say about Kenny Bolin and the greatness that I've done?
Well, I'd have to go through them, Kenny, and maybe we'll have them for next week or next show.
Well, I tell you what, I'd only planned on being on this radio show with you tonight for 15 or 20 minutes and then cutting you a break. I knew you was under the weather. I knew you needed to break a sweat. I volunteered to help you with that. They would be calling me Dr. Kenny Bolin if I came down here to Florida to help you out in the way I'd like to help you. But you've got me all riled up now because you're hand-picking them letters. I know you are. You can't make me think that out of 66,000 listeners that nobody is taking my side in this. So let me tell all your listeners what's going on right now. And I could give less than a rat's ass if you people like me or not. That has nothing to do with it. I will still continue to help the young girls of America. That has nothing to do with what you people think about me. You can like me, you can not, it don't matter one iota. I've been a hated man in the wrestling business for 22 years. And you know why? Because I've always done exactly what I want to do. I've always been successful at everything I've ever done. I don't care if it's baseball, basketball, football, Papa Shot, Twinkie eating contest, it don't matter. I've won everything that I've ever put my mind to doing. And there's people right now trying to call me, wanting a scoop, wanting me to come on. That's another radio show wanting me to do their segment. Golly, I'm going to stay on just a little bit longer with you because I'm going to let you know the bombshell that's coming next week.
Okay, well, hold on.
Who's slamming who?
Stay with me.
I'm going to give you the scoop about it. You're going to get the one to put the word out about it. Because that little girl came forward and told her story. And now you got people all across the country that are doubting her word. And on this week's show, if you go to Who's Slamming Who right now, at Podomatic.com, I believe that's the connection.
Who's Slamming
link to it off your show.
Yep.
I have issued a challenge to anybody out there worldwide who has been violated by Jimmy Cornette in any way, male or female, promoter or fan, it doesn't matter. If Jimmy Cornette has violated you or put you in a bad way in any way, I want to hear about it.
Okay.
I want you to contact me, email me, Kenny Bolin at MSN.com. I'll give you my personal email. That's how sure of the truth that I am. I'll take your personal emails. I'm not hiding from you.
Well, I got one more.
You can write Callie and ask her your questions there at Wildlife Radio. I'll answer them either way. But the challenge that was put out, anyone who has been violated in any way, I want you to contact the king of managers, Kenny Bolin. And you know what happened, Callie?
What?
I got flooded with emails. Lots of people out there have been hurt and damaged and violated by Jimmy Cornette. And not this week on the upcoming show, but the week after, I'm going to have on the air with me a little boy. He's not a little boy anymore, but he was when this happened, just like that young girl I had on who's now 17.
Here we go.
All this went down when she was 12. I've got a little boy who told me of a story of when he went into a bathroom stall with Jimmy Cornette in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, my.
People, you ain't going to believe what Jimmy did. And I know this little boy's telling the truth. He's got too many pieces of the puzzle that fit. Too many pieces of the puzzle. So not only do I help the little girls of America, but apparently I'm going to be at least of some help to one little boy. radio show. Callie's going to have a link to it. Mm-hmm. And you're hearing it here first. I haven't even announced this on my own radio show yet.
I was going to say, I didn't think you had.
I'm giving you people a scoop. But not next week, but the week after, I'm going to have that little guy on the show. And he's going to tell the story of his own words, what Jimmy Cornette did or tried to do to him in a bathroom stall in Atlanta, Georgia.
And it's all free to download his podcast, people. And I look forward to hearing this one, I tell you that. You think there'll be more people coming forward? I mean, now we got 2 people. We got a little boy now.
Oh, he's just the tip of the iceberg, honey. I've got people lined up. I look like a runway strip on a snowy day, honey. I've got planes lined up as far as the eye can see that are wanting to come forward and tell their stories about Jimmy Cornette. Not only of things that have happened in bathroom stalls and back seats, but I got promoters that want to tell stories about Jimmy. I got wrestlers that want to tell stories about Jimmy. I got ex-wives. He's got 4 of them that want to tell stories about Jimmy Cornette.
Well,
I got people in the business that were extras who were violated in some way by Jimmy Cornette. And down the road, I'm going to save this one. Are you familiar with who Ted Turner is?
Yes.
What's Ted Turner famous for? I'm going to let you say it.
No, go ahead. He's the newscaster.
Ted Turner was the owner of WTBS.
Right.
Ted Turner is the owner of CNN, the Cartoon Network. Many of the great television shows and television stations that you see today, Ted Turner created. And he was a billionaire long before Vince McMahon ever thought about being one in the wrestling business. Ted Turner is probably one of the richest men walking the planet Earth today. But his son, Ted Turner Jr., has contacted me and also has a story that he wants to tell. But I'm going to save that one. We're going to get to this little boy that ran into Jimmy in Atlanta first, and we're going to have that story told in a week or 2. Wow. Just keep listening. That story's coming.
I will.
Ted Turner Jr. is going to come forward. And like I said, Jimmy wants to tell some stories about me and trying to embarrass me over some little BS stuff I did years ago. He opened up a can of worms he didn't want to open, son, because there aren't thousands of people out there waiting to tell bad stories about me. They're sure lining up about Jimmy Cornette, and I know they're true because I know that little bastard, and I know that he's finally going to be put in his place once and for all. And don't be surprised if by the end of all this nonsense that he ain't sitting beside Bernard Madoff, that guy that ripped off all that money, in a jail cell with him in New York City somewhere by the time everybody gets done coming forward and telling their stories about Jimmy Cornette. He's going to go to prison before I'm done with him.
Well, you had a lot to say. Y'all both had a lot to say. I tell you, before I play these next 2 clips that I've got for you, let me read this last question that I didn't get to, and it comes from Jim C. from Orlando. How do we know that you're not just trying to get...
I had a feeling you had a Florida letter in there somewhere. You've covered every other corner of the United States, but go ahead.
Yeah, this one comes from Jim C. How do we know you're not just trying to get Cornette's job with TNA?
What?
And that one kind of got my attention because his name was Jim C.
Jim C. I wonder who that was. But he claims he lives in Orlando, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's funny. Jim C. and then Jim Cornette works in Orlando a few days a week. Well, let's put it this way. He shows up there. I don't know how much work he does, but he shows up there. And this person thinks that I want Jimmy Cornette's job at TNA.
Uh-huh.
I've been, like I said, I don't like to blow my own horn, but who better knows the tune? I've got the #1 rated radio show on Who's Slamming Who, the Bolin Alley with Kenny Bolin. With just 1 week with you alone, we've already got the #1 rated radio segment on Wildlife Radio.
Yep.
We're probably going to have 100,000 listeners today once the word gets out about all the bombshells I got coming.
Uh-huh.
I have no doubt in my mind about that whatsoever. So the #1 rated radio show on your radio network, and the #1 television show on the CW network in a 3-state region. And I don't even have to leave my house if I don't want to. Jimmy Cornette has to get in his SUV about every 8th day and drive, because he's not allowed at a lot of airports anymore, and I think we're starting to see why. He says he don't like to fly. He's been banned from about every airport in America, and when this little boy comes forward and tells his story in a week or 2, you're going to find out why Jimmy ain't allowed on airplanes